When I'm standing by a river, but the water doesn't flow, it pours with every poison you can think of. Then I'm underneath the streetlights, but the light of joy I know is scared beyond belief, way down in the shadows. And I prefer the fear of violence, chokes a smile on every face. Common sense is ringing out the bells. This ain't no technological breakdown. Oh no, this is the road to hell. And on the roads jump with credit, and there's nothing you can do. It's all just bits of paper flying away from you. Oh, look outward, take a good look. Look what's down here. You must learn this lesson fast and learn it well. This ain't no Edwardly mobile freeway. Oh no, this is the road. This is the road. This is the road to hell. Thank you very much.
Well, hello and welcome to another Restore Live. Restore Live going out onto the YouTube channel, also to the Twitter channel, and going out on the last day of the year, the last day of 2022. Now we're publishing we're broadcasting to the YouTube channel this evening, and the reason being is that we were banned from Facebook for daring to expose, I'm going to say, Irish state collusion. In terms of is that the Colombian authorities are looking for three men in connection with training the drug lords in the FARC jungle, or in the Colombian jungle. And well, when we expose this, it seems, and when we ask questions about the Irish government, when we ask the question, will the Irish government be like they used to be and not actually send these people to be extradited to be made amenable for their crimes? When we ask that question, will the Irish government leopard actually change its spots? Well, it seems that Facebook they're based in Dublin, and it seems as if that someone within Facebook has banned us for 30 days for daring to ask that question on our Facebook pages. So look, what I would like to do is ask each and every one, the people, especially on the YouTube channel, if they would share this onto their Facebook channel, share the little link to the Facebook channel, and let's get as many people over onto the YouTube and over onto the Twitter channel as that is humanly possible, let's just say. So we're here again, 2022, just bending down there, the road to hell. And it's out with the old, is what it says, just in this little white writing, out with the old and in with the new. And will 2023 be any better? So let's take a look at 2022 and let's try to understand how that it is that people in general were treated. That's right across the board. That's no matter why that you're a unionist, no matter why you're a nationalist, no matter why you're a Catholic. I mean, whoever you were, you may think that things are going your way. You may think that globalisation is on your side. You may think that by aligning with the EU, that you will be treated fair at the end of the day. But the truth of the matter is that globalists don't do indigenous culture or indigenous folk, let's just say. And the reason why they don't do that is they're out to destroy the cultures in where that this mass immigration is coming into. And the reason why they're out to destroy the culture is to make way for this new global citizen. Now, I would argue that your belief, your culture, your way of life, your lifestyle, and your lifestyle choices, it should be between you and your fellow enthusiasts, and it should never be permitted to interfere in anyone else's way of life. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that that would be the solution to everyone's problems, that if there were laws in place that ensured that no one could interfere in anyone else's way of life, well then, people wouldn't be at each other's throats. Society in general would be a stable place, and society in general would just, in my honest opinion, it would get along just fine. And those who would seek to impose whatever it is that they believed on anyone else, well, they would soon be highlighted if there were laws in place, and if everyone, let's say, for example, our school children were taught that premise, that your belief, your culture, your way of life, your lifestyle, and your lifestyle choices should not be permitted to interfere in anyone else's way of life. If they were taught that in school, well, I believe that society would be a better place. But you see, that doesn't actually, suit globalization, because globalization, it wants everyone at each other's throats. And, in 2022, they'd done one hell of a good job of ensuring that people would be at each other's throats. A lot of these problems that we see, they're not real problems. They're manufactured. They're put out there. They're orchestrated. They're pushed into society in order to divide people. Because whenever people are divided, you see, people don't actually and can't. They can't stand against the globalization, which is seeking to make everyone miserable in the future. And that's the way things are. So again, I'm here to really close the year and to discuss what it is that is happening, what it is that's happened right across the year, and what it is that ordinary people can do on the year going forward. Well, as you will have seen, that here at Restore UK, well, we are not flavour of the month because of the things that we expose, because of the things that we have exposed, and because of the things that we're involved in terms of, say, for example, taking the British government to court, to the Supreme Court, with reference to the constitutional changing protocol. We are involved in ensuring that what it is that we believe in well, it won't be treated in a way which is second class. That what it is that we believe should be the same as what it is that everyone else believes in terms of the respect that it should gain from others. Now, just a few nights ago, I was watching, it's Made to Parade podcast, is what I was watching. Now, I know Glenn, the guy that would be the host of the Made to Parade podcast, and I've watched the two, let's say, the two productions that Glenn would have created, well, Glenn and his team. And the other evening when I was watching this production, and I mentioned this for a reason, is that there was a scenario in where that people that are running a system called Beyond Skin, and what they were doing is that they had approached the Shankill Road Defenders. That was a flute band from the Shankill, and they had asked the Shankill Road Defenders would they participate in a cultural night in Belfast. And apparently this runs every year. I've never been at it myself, but this is what they run. In where that what they do is they bring all different cultures together around Belfast, and the cultures perform if they're good at, say, if they're good musicians, or if they have any anything that they do well, they bring them into the town, and that's what they do. They do a cultural event which incorporates absolutely everyone. Now, in watching the Made to Parade podcast, what's really stuck out to me was the fact that, well, the guy from the Shankill Road Defenders who had been approached, he told a story, and let me quickly go over this story and in a nutshell, and let me explain what I see within what was said. Well, you see, the guy from the Shankill Road Defenders said that whenever the guy from Beyond Skin had approached him, he offered him a spot at a place in Belfast city centre in where that the Shankill Road Defenders could come along, and they could come along as a band dressed in their uniforms, and what they could do is they could show the best of their culture in the way that they know best. And they're musicians. They're very talented musicians in the Shankill Road Defenders. It's been a band that has always got a good name for, being a melody band, and knowing how to read music and how to play music in a perfected way, let's just say. But what really stuck out to me was that the guy from Beyond Skin who was arranging this cultural event, well, what he said to the people in the Shankill Road Defenders, well, what I want you to do is I want you to wear your coats covering your uniforms. Don't show your hats. We'll bust you down. And we've made an arrangement to bring you into a tent. And once you're in that tent, you can't actually leave. And, so were they welcome or were they not welcome is the question. I mean, did they have to be the poor relatives in this cultural event in their own city? This is really a question that should be asked. And whenever I watched this, I heard that the guy from the Shankill Road Defenders was telling the story that they were bussed down. And he says that no, it wasn't the guy from the Shankill Road Defenders who was telling this story. It was the guy who was running the event. Well, they were bussed down. Some of them needed to go to the toilet because they had a few pints, but no one wanted them to leave the tent. So they went in, they played their piece with their uniforms on, they put their coats back on, they got out and they get into the bus, and they were taken out of the city centre. Now, what type of a way is that to celebrate anyone's culture? What type of a way is that? I mean, I wonder, was there any other culture within that equation in Belfast city centre that was as unwelcome as the Shankill Road Defenders, who are a musical melody band? And then what happened, what transpired here was Glenn, who I know, who runs that Made to Parade podcast. Well, he said, well, we've got to thank the man from Beyond Skin for taking a chance and inviting the Shankill Road Defenders to a cultural event in their own city. We've got to thank him for taking a chance and inviting these people to their own city to take part in a cultural event in where that every single other culture is welcome. but seemingly not the Shankill Road defenders and their culture. So, what have we got to thank this man for? What have we got to thank this man for making the Shankill Road defenders and their culture the poor relative in this cultural event in Belfast city centre? And then what happened was the man from the Shankill Road defenders actually reiterated those words, where he says that we've got to thank the man from Beyond Skin for for inviting us and making us the poor relatives within this cultural event, in where that no one else would be treated in that way, but only unionist, uh, loyalist band culture would be treated in that way. What have we got to thank a man for making them the poor relative, for doing a deal that they wouldn't leave the tent? This is beyond belief that these people would thank this man for taking a chance. I mean, if this was any other culture, there would be uproar about this. What about standing up for your culture? What about saying, excuse me, if we've got to go down there, if we've got to go into that tent, and if we've got to be the poor relatives in our own city, well, politely, you can shove your cultural event where the sun doesn't shine. I mean, that's how I view things. I mean, get up off your knees, get up off your knees, people, and demand equality. You see, we talked a few weeks ago, and I'm just going to go over a few things. I am not going to, stay here for long, but I want to really press home a few things. So after the Supreme Court, we had been talking to Jimmy Bryson in the Supreme Court, and we done a stream just a few weeks ago with Jimmy Bryson also, and we came to the conclusion in where that unionists don't seem to matter. Unionists don't seem to get the equality that everyone else gets. I mean, I see here George Orwell, I don't know who this man is, being thankful for disgusting behaviour is exactly what you say there, George. But, thinking about what George Orwell would have said, you know, some animals are more equal than others. And this is what equality is in this new dispensation of globalisation. 2022, the road to hell. If you believe in your culture, if you're an indigenous folk from within the United Kingdom, even if you're Irish and you're indigenous in Ireland at the minute, same in France or Germany or wherever, you can be as welcoming as you like. And most people that I know are not in any way, shape, or fashion racist. But you see, globalization has a tendency to treat you in your own land as the poor relative within the diverse cultural equation that has come to your city, and that's one thing that absolutely has to stop in 2022, because you see, if we want stability in our land, if we want stability in the United Kingdom, well, then everyone needs to be treated as equal. And we can't have globalization stirring the pot in where that some people feel left out. Globalization isn't good for anyone, is the reality. Ordinary people are accepting of other cultures. Ordinary people, at least the people that I know, aren't racist in any way, shape, or fashion. And why are we letting these people cause the circumstances in where division actually occurs? So again, looking back at 2022, and that was just one thing that I noticed from the Made to Parade podcast about they were thanking people for making them the poor relatives in the cultural equation within the Belfast cultural expression, let's just say. And then they went on to say, I mean, it was the man from the Shankill Road defenders. And look, if this offends people, do I care? Absolutely not. I point out a fact, and let anyone come and challenge me on what I'm saying. I'm saying, get up of your knees, get up of your knees, and stop kowtowing to this nonsense that seeks to make you a second class citizen in your own land. Get up off your knees and stand up for yourself. And if you can't stand up for yourself, well, stand aside and let people like us do the job for you. And what did they go on to say? Well, the man from the Shankill Road Defenders, Glenn from Made to Parade podcast, would have asked the man, well, are you doing any other events in the future? And he says, well, we would like to be doing some more, but we could only go as far as funding would permit. Now, that wasn't the exact words, but that was me paraphrasing what he said. And I think he said to Glenn, well, you know how it is. It's how far that funding will let you go. Let me roll you back to my days in the band scene. And I left that scene some 34 years ago, I have to say. But in my days in the band scene, well, if we wanted a new uniform, what we would have done is that we would have maybe raised money. We might have had a sponsored walk. We might have done ballots. We might have had like a little do in a pub or whatever, raising funds for a uniform, and people would have put money to the uniforms themselves. We didn't need funding to keep us going. We didn't need funding to take in for us to take to be involved in events. They've got to get this nonsense out of their head. They've got to get this. Is it like something that they're addicted to? That they must find they'll participate in absolutely anything as long as it's going to get them funding. They participate in an event, and this is the event I'm talking about, in where that they are made the poor relatives within the cultural equation in Belfast city centre, in where that they were the only culture that had to be bussed in with their coats on, shipped into a tent. They weren't allowed to go outside of the tent. They had to come back out, get onto the bus, and they were shipped back out of Belfast city centre in their own land, all because that there is another culture in Northern Ireland that actually can't stand the sight of them, that doesn't want them about the place, and, well, will not tolerate anything Protestant, Unionist, or Loyalist. And those are the types of things that need to stop, and those are the types of things that Unionists need to take a good look at themselves in the mirror. And in 2023, they need to get up off their knees, and they need to stand up for themselves, and they need to literally ensure that they are not treated like second-class citizens anytime going forward. So we now recap on the things that have happened in 2022. We seen the scenario in where that our political leaders from the start of 2022, well, they were looking as if that they were moving to be in a situation in where that business as usual could actually occur. Now, what do I mean by business as usual? Well, it doesn't matter whether the Belfast Agreement wants to destroy everything that you ever believed in. It doesn't matter whether there's one destination from within that Belfast Agreement, and that one destination is a border poll. And if that border poll fails, it has to run every 7 years until those that would mean us most harm, well, until they get the answer that they want. And looking at that Belfast Agreement, well, we've got to understand that it doesn't actually work for us, and it needs to be over. And unionists need not to work within anything that flows from that Belfast Agreement until that there is a level playing field, and until that equality would exist once more for British unionists living in Northern Ireland. Now, if you're a nationalist, if you're a Catholic, we mean you no harm. Just like you would require your rights, well, we require our rights in exactly the same way. This is the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. And in 1921, the Irish Republic, they got their wish. They partitioned away from the United Kingdom. The British Isles, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. And what actually happened from that point was that because that the Irish Republic, Southern Ireland, they partitioned, they decided to do that, not us. Well, Northern Ireland was separated. Northern Ireland then became part of the United Kingdom, which was England, Scotland, Wales, and in Northern Ireland. And now that they partition, they have a cheek and they want the people of Northern Ireland to partition with them against their will. Well, we've got to also stand up against that. And we have a constitutional changing protocol, which is in place. It's been in place now for 2 years. This is the anniversary. At the end of the evening here, at 11 o'clock this evening, the constitutional changing protocol, which seeks to destroy Northern Ireland British Unionists and Northern Ireland's place within the United Kingdom, and by extension, it seeks to destroy the entire United Kingdom. Well, that is 2 years old at 11 o'clock this evening. And we have to defeat this protocol. We really, really have to defeat this protocol, because if we don't defeat this protocol will defeat us. Now, there are unionists in leadership, and this is what we started by saying, is they would be in Stormont tomorrow. They would be working the Belfast appeasement process again today if they could, if ordinary people hadn't have put them behind the eight ball, and if ordinary people hadn't have insisted that, well, that we will not be part, we will definitely not be part of an illegal attempt to take us away from our brothers and sisters in England, Scotland, and in Wales. If there can't be a border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic, then it follows that there can't be a border in Larne, in Belfast, and in Warrenpoint. And as I say, we must oppose every single person in unionist leadership who would seek to take us down that road, because that road isn't going to end well for anyone. And if you're Irish, if you think that this so-called New Ireland is going to be good for you, well, I say, think again. I say, go do your homework. I say, go talk to people in the Irish Republic who still wants to be Irish, and see what's happening there at the minute. Because it's not a nice place. What is it they call it? They call it a 32-county socialist republic. Well, no thank you. No thank you, because socialism is communism in the modern day, and no one wants to accept a state, a 32-county socialist state, which is based upon communist values, communist thinking, and communist strategy. When communism would exist, what you actually get is the removal of the cornerstone of Judeo-Christian values, and that cornerstone is a thing called free will. Free will, you can be what you want to be. You can trust in God. You don't need to trust in God. You can do whatever it is that you want to be, or you can do whatever it is that you want to do within the Judeo-Christian value system. And that's the system that the Western world was built upon. And that's the system that I would choose any day of the week. Now, what's coming down our line, what you're seeing here behind us, well, it is the opposite of having free will. It is total control. It will be total control of every single person that lives from within our societies. That's irrespective of who you are, where you come from, whether you're a newcomer, what color of skin you've got, what religion that it is that you follow, whether that you're unionist, whether you're British, whether you're Irish, whether you're nationalist. It doesn't matter. Everyone, we will all be in this together. And believe me, it won't be a nice place if we look at what it is that these globalists have planned for each and every person living the Western world wide. It's something that we must oppose. So whenever we look at Facebook just a few days ago, banning us for speaking our mind, taking away our right to free speech. I mean, if we say something wrong, the law is there to prosecute us. But of course that the law can't prosecute us because that we're not breaking the law. But now we have these social media platforms being the arbiter of truth, being the people who decide on who has a voice, who doesn't have a voice. And you see, what is that? That is totalitarianism. That is a form of communism. And that's what you're seeing on the likes of that Facebook channel right now. And, is that the society that we want to live in? So let me expand on what Facebook done. is that they say, well, do you want to disagree? So you disagree. And they say, well, we've got your information and that'll help us in the future, but with no right of redress, let's just say, with no right for them to be able to produce what it is that you said wrong so that you can challenge it. I mean, that is totalitarianism. That should never, ever, ever be allowed from within a democracy. And that is exactly what it is that we are opposing right now. And in 2022, that, people, is the road to hell. Whether that hell is in a biblical sense or whether that hell is for ordinary people having their rights taken away, that's what they're doing. They're removing your rights. They're removing the rights that your forefathers fought and died for. Your forefathers would be turning in their grave right now if they seen what was going on. And where's your politicians actually shouting about these things? People, as I said, we're not going to stay here for long. So we've got things to look forward to in 2023. We have a constitutional changing protocol to defeat. If we don't defeat it, it will defeat us. And if the courts don't find in our favour, I'm talking about the Supreme Court, well, we're going to have to go to plan B. And we do have other plans going forward. So I think all's left for me to do right now is for to wish each and every person that follows Restore UK, a peaceful, prosperous event this evening for the new year. And again, a peaceful, prosperous new year in the year of 2023. And let's hope that, that we can keep our politicians exactly where they are right now. In Northern Ireland, we have our unionist politicians where we want them. And let's hope they actually stay there. Let's hope that they don't go off and play the globalist game. And let's hope that they don't actually play for themselves and in a way that would be absolutely detrimental to people going forward in 2023. So I think that all's left for me to do is to wish each and every one, a happy time this evening. Let's just say if you're going for a little glass of beer, champagne, you're going to be with relatives or whatever in advance. I'm wishing you a happy new year. And we'll see us all in 2023. So once again, I would like to ask people if they would share from the YouTube channel. If you're not a member of our YouTube, if you would like to give us subscribe to the channel, because this is where we will be broadcasting for the foreseeable future. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. To all the nationalists out there, to all the Catholics out there, to the live and let live ordinary people, Happy New Year to you also. To the Republican trolls that would actually follow us on the Twitter channel, well, I'm saying stick with us in 2023 because you haven't seen anything yet. Good luck, people, and Happy New Year.
I must have dreamed 1,000 dreams, been haunted by a million screams, but I can hear them marching feet. They're moving into the street. Now did you read the news today? They say the danger's gone away. I can see the fires still light. They're burning into the night. There's too many people making too many problems, and not much love to go around. through the night and the sound of laughter as I held you tight so long ago. I